By the end of this video, you are going to clearly understand what OpenClaw is, what benefit it offers to you, does it actually replace AI automation, how to deploy it, and the biggest talk on the internet is security concern. So if you've been around the block for a minute, you know that OpenClaw has gained massive traction online. And while majority of those posts and videos are meant to actually drive impressions, this video filters through the hypes, so you have an honest assessment of what OpenClaw is and how you can actually use it. So what is OpenClaw? Now, at a very high level, think of this as your ultimate AI assistant. Now, it can manage your emails for you, so that you want it to actually write emails, clear emails, delete emails, manage your calendar, and even check you in for flights. Literally, think of it as your virtual AI assistant. So now let's get granular a bit. OpenClaw is an open source platform, meaning it is free. Now, but free comes with a caveat, really, because OpenClaw being free doesn't mean it is free to run, which you understand as the video progresses, really. Now that I know that OpenClaw is actually an open source platform, the next question is it actually a large language model? And this is where it gets confusing. Initially I said it's an ultimate AI assistant, but does it mean OpenClaw in and of itself is an AI? No. Now think of it as a messaging queue that leverages or is layered upon an AI. And the best way I can really explain this is thinking of an AI agent, right? Because I believe majority of my audience are people into the AI automation space. Now think of an AI agent. Now an AI agent think of an AI agent node in anything. We have, of course, a chat input. Now the node in and of itself is really not an AI agent without a chat model, right? If you don't connect a chat model to your AI agent node, literally it is useless. So it's the presence of you, or is the fact, where you connect your chat model to your AI agent, that is what makes it an AI agent node that you can actually use to do very powerful things. And that is what OpenClaw really is at a very high level also. You have this messaging queue that can connect to your different chat interfaces, whether that's Telegram, your WhatsApp, Discord, Slack, whatever chat interface you already use, but then it is leveraged, or it uses AI at the background to run different things. And this brings me back to the other thing I was saying when I was saying, is it actually a free platform? It is free, but it's not free to use. Now, the fact that it uses AI to actually processes things means you actually need to buy your AI API credits. So that you want to use, Claude, you want to use OpenAI, or probably, platforms like OpenRouter. You have to buy API keys from those platforms and then, connect your AI or your large language models to OpenClaw so that you can use that AI to, perform actions for you. So now that we understand what OpenClaw is, it being open source, and how it uses AI, let's proceed. So how do you actually use OpenClaw? Now, OpenClaw needs to be hosted somewhere. You can choose to host it on a physical device, so that's probably your local PC, so like your laptop, your desktop, your computer, something like that. Or you can choose to host it on Mac Mini. And we are active on X, you see that a lot of people have been hosting it on the Mac Mini. But apart from that, you can also choose to host it on a virtual private server, right? So that's something like, hosting it on the cloud, things like Hostinger, Run Lobster. So those are platforms that manage hosting OpenClaw for you. Now, regardless of how you choose to deploy your OpenClaw instance, it is important to note that there's no method that is 100% secure. And this is actually backed by the official documentation. So you can see I'm on OpenClaw official documentation, that's the security section. And right off the bat, you can see, it has even been boldened, that there is no perfectly secure setup. Right, so that you are choosing to run on a local machine or on the server, there's nothing that's perfectly secure. So the goal is to be deliberate about who can talk to your bot, where the bot is allowed to act, and this is what where I was explaining. Are you going to host on your local machine? Also, your local machine grants it access to things like your files, commands, your bank account, any personal API keys, anything that you saved on your computer is at risk of being compromised. And also what the bot can actually touch. So even if you're hosting on the server, if you grant access to things like your emails, Google Drive, Google Calendar, anything that contains very sensitive and personal information, as long as you granted access to those kind of things, there's that risk of it being compromised. And they offer the suggestion, which I think is very brilliant. You start with the smallest access that still works, right? And then widen it as you gain confidence. And this is even more true if you do not have a technical background, right? Someone that probably has a very good understanding of software developing can probably, know things or some security infrastructure he or she can put in place.
Whereas if you do not have a technical background prior, you probably want to start small, and then as the confidence grows, then you can then widen your net. So probably you can start with things like Google Calendar that doesn't contain a lot of any sensitive information, and then when you see how that works, you get very comfortable. You understand some things to actually do. You can probably widen your net, like I said earlier. And then another thing I actually like about this is that they actually offered some security audits you can run on your charts, right? On your AI chart on OpenClaw. So you can see OpenClaw security audit, OpenClaw security audit deep. And basically it's as simple as just pasting this into OpenClaw. Like I said, since it's an autonomous AI, it runs this on its own and then gives you whatever is leaking, whatever needs to be updated, whatever needs to be updated, whatever needs to be fixed, it gives you all of that. Now, so what is the difference between? I mean, you're hearing all of this and you're thinking, okay, I mean, what's the offer here, really, right? Why can't I just use ChatGPT for this? Why can't I just use my Claude for this, right? Why OpenClaw? And so think of your ChatGPT as just your special advisor. What ChatGPT or Claude or any other traditional LM does is you give them an input, they process your input, and they give you an output, right? You can say check my sorry writes an email for me, writes that email for you, do this and that, it does that for you. But OpenClaw, it takes it one step further, right? You can ask it to describe a goal for it, and then okay, I'm trying to reach out to recruitment agencies, being an automation specialist, and I'm going to send them an email. Now it can find recruitment agencies for you, and if the emails are publicly available, it grabs those emails, it drafts an email for you, and then if you grant it the access, actually send that email, it sends the email. So you can see it does in such a way you can call it agentic, because now we are not just providing an input and giving us just a one step reasoning output. It can describe a goal, it executes on that goal, it reiterates on the goal, and if it needs to loop over anything, it loops until it is done. Now, what do I mean by looping? And this is actually one of the brilliance of OpenClaw, right? Unlike your traditional AI, what it does is just a one-step reasoning. You give it an input, it whatever it notices, whatever it presses that input, and whatever it wants to give you out of that output, it gives that. Now, but then in OpenClaw, you provide a goal. And take for instance, right? I asked you to actually wanted to connect a Telegram account to my OpenClaw. Right, this is a Telegram account I've actually used before. So and let's just connect that same API token. Now, all I needed to do was to just give it the API token, and it was running the connection. And while running that connection, it noticed an error. Now, ChatGPT will tell you, oh, there's an error with this. What do you mean? It will give you a response, right? Okay, there's an error. They can say, okay, if there's an error, do something like this. But in OpenClaw, it noticed that error, and without even asking me anything, it fixed the particular error, and it was fixing it until it was connected appropriately. And it was until when it was connected appropriately, then gave me the response. Okay, now your API or your Telegram account has been connected. So you can see in that regard, you can say it is agentic. All right, it has the ability to think on it, think on an action and execute. Right, notice any error, it continues to execute and correct that whatever error it is noticing until it gives you the particular goal that you want to achieve, then gives you that kind of an output. So that is something you should actually also note. And now something I also want to mention is the fact that, or let's probably not talk about give a brief overview of what it actually does. So mention that it runs on your machine, but if it doesn't run on your machine, you run on a virtual private server. And this is what I'm actually saying, that it connects to any chat interface, right? Whether it's WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, Slack, whatever, iMessage, right? DMs and group chat, it works on it. Now, but I mean, right, you can, with anything, you can probably build a chat on either of these platforms. So what is actually the brilliance, or what is the benefit of this? Now, OpenClaw, it maintains context across different chat interface. Now, what do I mean? Now, say you start to talk with it on WhatsApp, and then from WhatsApp you move to Telegram. It continues your chat, right? Which is very, very, I mean, very, very nice. So if you can connect WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, Slack, and whatever interface you're going to chat with it, it maintains context across those platforms. So it doesn't need to like start asking these things that you've asked before. It can just pick up the conversation from where you left off, which is very, very nice. And so you can see it has a persistent memory, so it remembers you and becomes uniquely yours. Now, which is very, very good, because the more you use it, the more it becomes much more personalized to you, right? And we have a browser control. So this will allow enables you to do things like browser or web search, right? So you want to do research. This enables you to act as a research assistant, and you can see that's a full system access. But I've mentioned, right, a full system access comes with kind of security implications. So you have to actually just note that. And next you can see we have skills and plugins. Now think of skills as in just a markdown instruction that enables your AI be able to do a particular thing, right? So probably a research skill will be a instruction that enables you to do things like research. A content writing skill will be a markdown instruction on how you want to write content for you, right? So things those are things you actually know. And we've mentioned I work with everything, so I mean that is that already.
So does it actually replace AI automation? And it hates to break my heart, but in some regard, it actually does. Take for instance, I mentioned the fact that it can act as your ultimate AI assistant. So, like literally, I have a video on my channel about building a Telegram personal AI assistant with anything. So a client can say, me, why do I want to build anything when I can just, OpenClaw can handle all of that for me? And in that regard, right, OpenClaw has taken that kind of gig away from my hands. So yes, in some regard, like I mentioned, it does actually. There are some things that with OpenClaw you can do, and probably you might not need someone to build an automation for you because of that. But does that mean that AI automation is dead? Absolutely not. There's a million and one use cases for AI automation that cuts across different niche, different industries. And in that regard, yes, you still need to use AI automation. But I mean, in some ways, like providing a personal assistant, I mean, a client might not want you to build one for them with anything when they can just, install open claw and then have access to it. So yeah, in that regard, yeah, but I mean still, I mean there's still lots of room to actually walk around. So yeah, so that brings us to the end of this video. And I'll probably be doing a two-part series where my next video we're actually going to see it working in real time. I'm going to show you how I'm interacting with it, some kind of little automation it is doing for me. So yeah, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that. Turn on post notifications, like and share this video, and turn on post notifications so that you don't actually miss that. And liking and sharing this video helps me and or probably even help someone else, because by liking, the algorithm push the video to much more people so they can actually benefit from it. So I'll see you on the next one. Bye.